course, our generation grew up on a show. It was on like every day, syndicated, uh, Full House. We lost Bob Saget yesterday.
Hmm.
Um, that was kind of a shock because on our show we talked about Norm a couple months ago, and that was a shock for me. And Bob Saget directed Dirty Work. Sure, you love that movie.
Yeah.
And ironically, when Bob Saget was talking about Norm on a podcast, he was on the R.D. Lang podcast, and R.D. Lang played the friend in Dirty Work, and Bob Saget was just like, "Oh, he was such a great guy, Norm." They had the script ready. They had the script and they had the finance for Dirty Work too. And like I guess like 2019, he showed Norm the script and he was, "Oh, I'm ready." And then we get COVID happened, and then he got sick again, or it got returned. It returned, and now Bob Saget's gone, and it's just ironic that R.D. Lang, everyone he was on everyone's death pool, and the whole cast of Dirty Work, Don Rickles, Chris Farley, everyone is gone. What's your memories of Bob Saget?
Um. Yeah, it's interesting because I said to myself, at some point, I think I've seen every single episode because I used to watch like they would have reruns of it on like after school. And I think I've watched every single episode of Full House at some point. I have a joke the other day. I was like, like it's great that like it's a good thing I don't have friends like that anymore because like I would, like, well, Mike's gonna probably be there. If I ever get married, like my bachelor party, like my friends would be upset because my bachelor party would be in like Disney World, like we're on like a TGIF sitcom. So like one of the episodes I remember was the one where they all went to Disney World, and I think like he proposed to, his character Danny Tanner like proposed to his girlfriend. Um, but yeah, it was interesting watching him on, Full House and then watching the whole rest of TGIF and then again later on at night, or I think it was before that, like America's Funniest Home Videos. He was the original host. And I was kind of shocked, like the one day I seen like they had replaced him because I think it kind of like it went from being like a flagship kind of show to just kind of like a syndication show, same way like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Mm.
Um, and then I think he had like other sitcoms and stuff like that. And then around like the time I was in high school, I seen he had like a comedy special or stand-up special on HBO. And I wasn't expecting to see outside of Bob Saget, but that was the day I realized like he wasn't just like a TV dad and the host of America's Funniest Home Video. Like this dude was a legitimately funny comedian, and he had some great crude um humor, and it's actually one. I'm in my like favorite stand-up comedians. I don't really have like a lot of white guys. I'm sorry to say, but it was actually one of my favorite stand-up comedy specials, and it's ironic because I think like he joked in it. He did like a whole bit on his one scene in Half Baked, where it's like
Oh yeah.
like a drug like a drug addict group therapy kind of thing or whatever that
Drug
Thurgood,
counseling,
yeah, counseling, and
substance.
like Thurgood, who was Dave Chappelle's character, he went because he said he was addicted to weed and everybody like laughed him off. And one of the people I laughed him off was Bob Saget. And he was like, weed? You're addicted to weed? Weed isn't an addiction. Have you ever sucked dick for weed? And he's like, I suck dick for crack. And he's like, at somebody off camera, I think it was Dave Chappelle's voice was like, I seen him. And he did like a whole bit on it. And he was just like, I done Full House. I've done America's Funniest Home Videos. And he's like, I swear when I died, the one thing people was gonna remember me for is I said I sucked dick for crack and Half Baked. And I tweeted yesterday, I was like, it's ironic because I've seen every episode of Full House. I never really kept up with the Netflix one, the new one, but
Hmm.
I've seen every episode of Full House. I used to watch America's Funniest Home Videos when he was hosting it, and the irony, it just shows the like persona of comedians where like this irony that some like even in death it's like its own little bit because I'm like I've seen him in all these episodes of Full House. I've seen him in America's Funniest Home Videos, but now as an adult, the one thing I'm gonna remember him for is the I suck dick for crack. I seen him.
And you mentioned, you're talking about a stand up, and everyone was like shocked, or, because they grew up on Full House and all those, and the America's Funniest Home Videos, uh, you know, 90s version of YouTube for all those kids out there, or like Tosh, Tosh Point oh. But he actually started out at the Comedy Store with like people like David Letterman. Uh, so he was raunchy back then. And then he got this opportunity because in the 80s, sitcoms is where like you wanted to go. Like they would
Yeah.
have like that and Johnny Carson and like Letterman to be on that because everyone would see it.
Mhm.
So he had a long career of that. Like Michael Keaton too. He started out with. I think I mentioned it once where I always think about sitcoms that are like or shows that are about shows or about like the industry or about like meta and Wake Up San Francisco. Like he hosted a show, and I used to love that. Loved that when I was a kid. I was like, you know what? I love the whole making a show, and here we are. Did 80 episodes, 81 episodes of Suge and Mooney, so it was a big
Mhm.
deal.